Greetings and salutations, my fellow gamers. My name is AFarCryAway, and today we're going to be taking a look at Screaming Steel 1914 through 1918, a Day of Infamy modification. So, as you know, this is a mod for the game Day of Infamy, which is on Steam, and it's a World War II game that has a really fun cooperative mode and really compelling PvP. It's actually one of my favorite games just because I really enjoyed Insurgency, and like in my review of Day of Infamy, it literally just takes everything that makes Insurgency great and makes it better, and then throws it all into a World War II setting with World War II weapons, which, as you know, World War II weapons have a little bit more character than modern day weapons. Now, that's not to say modern day weapons are bad, by no stretch. But these World War II weapons, just the way they behave, the way they handle, the time it takes to reload them is a bit longer, and the recoil is a bit higher, but just something about the way that is changes everything from Insurgency, and I really enjoyed the game for that. And even the co-op is better, the AI is improved, the game modes are better, you can call in artillery strikes and other sorts of air support and recon and drops and all that kind of stuff. So basically, Screaming Steel takes all of the things that make Day of Infamy such a great game and then transports that into World War I. So when you're installing Screaming Steel for the first time, you need to install the mod as well as the little mod pack collection that comes with it. It includes the 4 maps for the game: Nimi or Nimi Bridge, I don't know how to pronounce that, the Somme, this map,
Valenciennes,
and this map,
Passchendaele or Passchendaele.
I didn't even try to pronounce those last two, it was too much. Now in the gameplay footage I've provided in the background, you'll only see 3 of the maps. I never actually got to play on the bridge map, but it looks really good too, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's also really fun to play on. So Valence, whatever, the map that's in the city, is a really fun map and actually a big divergence from what you would expect from a World War I game setting. The town actually introduces a lot of really interesting long lines of sight, as well as a lot of really good close quarters combat situational areas. One of the main objectives is actually right there smack dab in the middle of the town, where one side is a complete building and the other side is a destroyed part of the same building. It's always really fun to chunk grenades right through the middle of that building in the middle, and it's always a fun time playing that map. And something about bolt actions and flamethrowers and the World War I SMG that's a little bit more inaccurate than most of the SMGs in Day of Infamy turns this into a very, very chaotic map. You actually can go around getting melee kills on this map if you're good enough by jumping out of the second story windows and flanking people on the ground level if you hear them passing underneath you. I actually managed to get a few melee kills, humble brag, but it was a really fun map and not exactly what I was expecting from this World War I mod, and it made it a lot more enjoyable. So if you like close quarters, this mod does have it. It's just not as abundant as maybe in Day of Infamy. Now the next 2 maps I got to play on, the Somme and the Pass something something, they're more open-ended and a lot more traditional trench warfare, exactly what you'd be expecting from a World War I mod. Now the Somme is a lot brighter, however it still is pretty cloudy out, and it's a little bit foreboding. You have long lines of sight, great for snipers. There's a lot of good positions in these trenches to snipe from. There's even little shields that you can look through in the trenches in some places where you can kind of get a quick shot out through. And generally running across this map is really fun because you can throw smoke grenades down as the officer, call in gas artillery or just regular artillery, as well as airstrikes, which are actually pretty cool in this game, where you watch your little biplanes come in and do a strafing run with machine guns across the trenches and whatnot. They're only really deadly if you aim them directly where you need them to go, but however, I mean, they still are pretty cool and they can distract the enemies a lot, so that's nice too. There's a large tank in the center of the map, and it's the same actually on the other trench map as well, but these tanks in the middle prove to be very, very good cover spots. However, it is a little bit obvious where the enemy might be hiding, so getting a grenade behind those tanks can be pretty easy too. Now sadly, there's no actual vehicle combat in this mod, at least not yet, and maybe the developers will be able to add that in the future, but as of right now, it's not a possibility. And same thing with gas masks. That's one thing that you'll notice is missing from the inventory in this game. I believe the lack of the gas mask is more of a technical thing, so it's not really the mod developers' faults. I think they wanted that, but it's just not really something they can do with the current Day of Infamy SDK. And while we're talking about these large environments, just let it be known that the bolt action combat is very good, and if that's what you were expecting out of your World War I game, you will not be disappointed. One of the big parts for me in Battlefield 1 that I didn't really enjoy as much is that bolt-action combat wasn't as prevalent as it should be for a World War I game. There was just still a lot of SMGs around and guns that nobody was really using during the war, and everyone seemed to gravitate towards using those. Now, in this game, you still have those guns like the MP18, for example. However, they are substantially worse than they are in Battlefield 1 to the point of being not useless at all. They're still very practical in most situations that would be, they'd be useful in, which would be like close quarters, trench warfare, and, the CQB environments of a town. But they're definitely nowhere near as good as SMGs and other games that you've played around with. So bolt actions will still take you out immediately. I had moments where I would flank entire squads with the MP18 and still get taken out because the bolt actions will one-shot you and they're very good. I guess the point I'm trying to reach is that Screaming Steel has a wonderful weapon variety, and a lot of them counteract each other pretty well. However, sometimes it might feel like you're not getting kills when you should be, because some of the weapons are generally a little bit weaker than you would assume. Even that MP18 sometimes feels like it takes a few more shots to kill than maybe it should, considering the fact that this game doesn't have anything like body armor like Insurgency has. It is a bit frustrating to shoot a guy 3 times in the chest, especially with those pistols that the officers get, and then still not secure the kill because they shot you once in the leg with a bolt action. So if you like bolt actions, then this game is going to be right up your alley. You're going to have a wonderful time. If you don't like bolt actions, you might not be having as much fun, but you still have a couple of selections that are really easy to use and fun and very effective, like the flamethrower and the trench shot guns. Heck, even those machine guns that you can set up are very devastating if set up in the correct positions. However, you do have to be mindful that snipers will try to pick you off. Now, this isn't as much of a problem on the more foggy trench map, because on that, you're actually only seen by your muzzle fire. Now, that can still get you killed. However, it's a lot harder for someone to hit you if they just see a muzzle flash than if they see your body on the ground, like on the Somme. So if you can take advantage of that, the machine guns are very, very deadly and very efficient at killing. You just have to be at the right place at the right time, and some maps make it easier than others to be not exposed. I also like the little World War I touches to the game, such as how they've changed everyone's, appearance, obviously, because that fits with World War I. They have, like, the doughboy helmets and everything. But as well as even the radio men from Day of Infamy that are in this mod, now they all come equipped with the wire on their back. So it's kind of like the wire that they would have to run across trenches to get messages through and stuff like that, and I really appreciate those little details. Also, the melee weapons have been revamped. You have a trench, like, spiky bat thing that's really badass. You get, like, a trench shovel, and you get a trench knife. I think you can also get brass knuckles if you play as, like, the demolitions guy. Now, one of my favorite parts, like I said earlier, of Day of Infamy is the co-op, and sadly there is no co-op for this mod yet. However, there are servers that do have bot support. So you will be playing against other people, but there are bots there, and it kind of mitigates that effect a little bit. So essentially, you'll still be playing PvP with some little PvE elements sprinkled throughout it. So the bots, while they can be very dumb and they cluster up a lot, they are very, very efficient with those bolt actions and will snipe your ass across the map. So you do have to be very mindful of that. And if you find yourself getting picked off through the smoke, that might be why. So just, be mindful of that. But overall, I have recognized a much greater degree of tactics in this mod. When people are actually working together, or you're an officer and you get to call the smoke barrages in and then tell your units when to push, it's a very good experience, to the point where, like, I'm just dying. No, okay. It is really fun though. It's a great experience because it feels sort of like Rising Storm and Red Orchestra. Like, if you actually coordinate with your squads and the people on your team, use smoke efficiently, you can push up to these objectives, make a lot of progress, and can get a lot of work done. Now, the maps aren't absolutely huge like things like Rising Storm, but they're big enough to provide a lot of interesting little flanks and interesting routes you can take to secure objectives, so it's definitely still strategic, but it's fast enough to keep you interested. So if you're one of those people who doesn't really like Rising Storm and Red Orchestra because it takes a little bit too long, in your opinion, to get into a fight, even though those maps are pretty short too compared to something like Squad, this is even tinier than that, but you get your World War I fix in there. So I don't know, it's kind of like a better version of Verdun, because Verdun is great, I love Verdun, but the problem with that game is it's really stiff. The gunplay is very stiff, a lot of things about that game are stiff as fuck, but the maps are pretty reasonably sized in there. Now in this, everything's a little bit smaller in scope, but the gameplay itself is a lot smoother. So everything from the bolt action combat to all the other types of combat, they feel really great in this. And it's a Source Engine game, so it runs really well for most people. So do give this a try if you own Day of Infamy, and if you don't already own the game, it's usually on sale for like $5 or something, or $7. And I would highly, highly recommend getting Day of Infamy just to have Day of Infamy. It's a great game, but then adding this little expansion mod to your game just makes it even better as a value. So I would highly recommend trying it out. Maybe the guys at New World Interactive might do something with this one day, who knows? I think a World War I insurgency is a cool prospect. However, it might not ever go anywhere. This might be the biggest that this gets, but hopefully they do add some more maps to it at least. Maybe add those gas masks, and maybe even some tanks or something in the future, just to kind of spice it up a little bit. Alright, so that's been my little review on Screaming Steel. Let me know if you guys liked it in the comments below, and if you've played it, let me know, and let me know what you guys think about it. So, I'll see you guys in the next video, and like the video if you liked it, and I'll be Twitch streaming on twitch.tv/AFarCryAway. I've been streaming a lot more recently, and I've just hit, like, I think it's affiliate status, I believe, so I think I have a Twitch sub emote coming, so that's gonna be cool. And hopefully I'll be playing some fun stuff. I've been playing a lot of Warframe over there. You guys seem to really like Warframe, and I'm really enjoying it right now. I have Umbra, which is cool, so I like that. So, if you're interested in that kind of thing, come join me over there, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.